So, Alex, congratulations. You're now
I didn't do it.
yep, you did. I saw your byline, the very first nationally syndicated published article for
It's
CNN.
my first article ever. I mean, I just decided I'd skip over the high school journalist, college, school newspaper journalist,
Oh,
local
gracious.
news journalist. No, I just went straight to national. I
You
skipped
can't
everything.
imagine how you can't imagine how grateful I felt just reading your byline. I think I stared at your byline for about 15 minutes. I didn't bother to read the article.
You know, I can't tell you how grateful I am because I probably stared at my byline for 20 minutes. that
Well,
you know, I mean
friends
the
of ours, Michael, who just told me, he said, uh, "Don't forget to congratulate Alex on perseverance." I said,
well,
"That's
thank you.
exactly right."
Well, thank my thanks to Michael. I
I
mean,
will. I'll tell him.
it,
He's leaving. He's leaving for Italy tomorrow.
oh, good for him.
Yeah.
I in context, though, I would like to point out that this is after 5 months of me chewing a nine, kicking and screaming, ramming down doors, begging for a
Actually,
job.
6 months.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Uh, but it has pretty much all the requirements I'd like for a job. It pays, and it pays pretty decently.
Hmm.
It's doing what I want to do, where I can actually use my mind.
Hmm.
Uh, and I also am fostering contacts with
Yep.
people that I hope to have long-standing relationships in DC for the rest of my life.
Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. Yep.
the cherry on top of it all is I get press credentials, so I can go literally behind the scenes of the DC area. I
You
can
told me
go.
about your little trolley ride down at the
Yes,
basement of the Senate office building, which is really
not
kind of
everyone
cool.
knows that the senators, they usually don't like going above ground, or the smart ones
No,
don't go because they
no.
have to deal with the
They're going to get
weather
waylaid by people like
and
you. They're going to
dear goodness,
nasty reporters are going to chase them
they have
down.
to face constituents. It's yeah. So they take these underground
Trolley.
trolleys, and I got to ride one of them, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed though, but unlike many people of your age, you have not flooded us with selfies of these things. The only selfie you took was you eating bean soup. That's because you're Armenian. That's the only.
Well, I mean, my good
We
friend
always
Celeste
count on
Barker
you.
recommended
Yeah.
that's the one thing you have to do. You
So
have
anyway,
and
let's. I want to
I,
interview you. I would like to interview you here in this podcast concerning concerning your article itself, because I'd like to ask you a few questions. First of all, why don't you let the listeners and the viewers know what the article is all about?
sure. Well, the essentially my editor told me to write a story on how many places are trying to pass bills similar to the one we saw in New York. In case you've been under a rock for the last couple months, everyone is chicken littling, yeah, running around in circles saying the sky is falling because, well, Trump is still president. He hasn't been impeached. So, and because he's had so many court picks in such a small amount of time, and he has the potential of a few more,
Having more, yeah. Mhm.
people are, or abortion activists are terrified that
Mhm.
that his Supreme Court nominees will
Repeal
look at
Roe v.
well,
Wade.
well, they'll look at the law and realize this is totally unconstitutional. It is so I mean, the argument I believe for Roe v. Wade being included is because the Constitution secures the right of privacy,
Mhm.
and because it secures the right of privacy, and an abortion is a private matter, therefore abortions are protected by the Constitution, and so
Mhm.
all the states have no say
But
in
now,
restricting
with
government.
a post abortion surviving baby lying and kicking on the table, that person's privacy is now also at stake, and the Supreme Court must address that that privacy issue.
See,
Right?
I
So it's no
didn't.
longer just the woman's body. They can't make that argument.
Dear goodness, yeah. I mean, and also there's two things that lots of pro-choice activists miss is
Yeah.
they miss the fact that it was all men that made that decision. So if you're against the patriarchy, then I guess you're against Roe v. Wade because it was all only
Good
men made that
point.
decision.
Is that in your
The
article? No, you didn't put
no,
that
no,
in
no.
there.
It's a little off topic. The other off topic thing, what it is related, is that consistently polls are demonstrating Americans are not big fans of late term abortions, but
No.
Democrat politicians I mean, even Democrats aren't big fans of late-term abortions, but Democrat politicians love late-term abortions
Well,
and are.
do you think that this push is because they are afraid that Roe v. Wade actually will be repealed, and but the Supreme Court will exercise its escape hatch, its parachute, by saying, "But you know what? We no longer have a national policy of abortion, so we're going to let the states take care of it." And now that would open the door for these state legislators to engage in infanticide.
I
Do you
mean,
think that's the strategy?
oh, I mean, I don't even. I didn't even have to say it. I quoted. I was able to quote Father Pavoni.
Pavoni, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's in charge of the. He's the director of Priests for Life, which is the biggest Catholic
Yeah.
pro-life ministry. And yeah, it was very cool. I got to email him back and forth, and his
Good.
yeah,
Good.
and he actually provided us a very nice statement for me. He totally believes that this push is because they are terrified.
Mm-hmm.
They are losing their. I mean, this he didn't
What are they
actually say
terrified
this.
of? What are they terrified of?
Roe v. Wade getting the axe because
That's what I think.
just as much, and I didn't get to do a story on this, but in my research, just as though there are many state legislatures trying really quickly to pass this legislation, on the other side of America, states are trying their hardest to quickly pass pro-life legislation, heartbeat bills.
Protection of the heartbeat. Yeah.
There's this certain kind of law called trigger laws. So that pro-life states many states have had for many years on the books. As soon as Roe v. Wade is appealed, it will be banned in that state. As soon, like this day it happens, the very hour it happens, there will be no more legal abortions in that whole state. But these other states,
even in first semester. I mean, even first trimester.
I mean, I don't know what it is.
You haven't done the survey on all of these.
No. Again, I'd love to do more research on which states and what specifics. But
Yeah.
as of now, though, New York, Oregon, and D.C. are the only places where if Roe v. Wade was repealed tomorrow, you could get your abortion at any point you like, at any stage of pregnancy in those places. In fact, I didn't know this, but D.C. is actually the most pro-abortion area ever. According to the Guttmacher Institute, which is a major pro-choice advocacy group, when they list abortion restrictions for the DC area, the only thing they have listed is we'll only provide public funds to subsidize abortions if a case of rape or incest. Other than that, you can get whatever you want. That's how they limit people's abortion. They suppress women. Is they only pay for your abortion if you've been raped or a victim of incest.
Mm-hmm.
That, other than that, have at it. Do whatever you can. Yeah, that was really shocking to me. I was very surprised that Oregon is also rated by the I think different pro-choice organization. I can't remember at the moment. Is the number one least restrictive place, at least before New York, for abortions. It's totally under the radar. Everyone's talking about New York now.
Least restrictive on abortions?
Yes, you can get an abortion just about in the whole United
Oregon,
States.
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah, I know. It seems really out of left field, if you know what I mean.
Well, the West Coast, yeah.
But New York is not anything new, unfortunately. It's just the thing that makes New York.
They have North Carolina situation.
North Carolina, I'm not familiar with that.
Well, yeah, is that Virginia? Is that Virginia?
Yeah, you're thinking of Virginia.
I'm sorry, I get
but the nice thing about Virginia is that, and this is something also, I didn't realize this. I thought that the bill died in committee or got voted down. Upon research, it's still there in committee. It's just it's been tabled. So if it's pretty much dead because it's been so hammered by the media. Thank goodness, because the Democrats of Virginia are in so much trouble. They don't need any more of this nonsense. They've kind of
infanticide is like suicide.
Only,
You're
well,
watching you're watching a political party commit suicide. That's
it's
what you.
not like suicide, because suicide is something you do to yourself. Infanticide is something you do to something that
No. But
doesn't.
I'm saying because of the infanticide drive, the party is committing suicide. They're committing suicide on that. The anti-Semitism,
Oh,
that bill passed today, but it was watered down to appease the Muslims in Congress, the people who want to defund the Homeland Security, they
mhm.
want to disarm cops, they want to
See,
take over America, they
I,
want to
I was I
destroy
was
America.
talking with one of my good friends who's a Democrat. He's a moderate. He was telling me that the Democrats could consistently win elections if they just pull themselves to the center. But instead of doing the opposite of what he's definitely polarizing America, but it takes two to tango. Trump is definitely far to the right, or at least where most
Yeah,
traditional conservatives would align themselves, give or take a few
yeah, I
issues.
agree with you.
But the Democrats, if they just stayed where they were, or even moved a little bit to the center, they'd win in a landslide. But they decided to react the same way. Just as Trump moves to the right,
Why do you
they've moved
think
to.
they did that? But why is that? Why did they defy all political science and political wisdom and start going further left?
My
I
opinion
yeah.
is because moderates kind of both parties decided to crawl back in their shells.
Oh, they're hiding under their desk.
Yes, moderates are very. I mean, it's very. I would say nowadays it's easier to be someone with a MAGA hat saying, "Yeah, President Trump," than somebody who says, "Well, let's think about both issues and take the middle way." That kind of
Yeah,
person
right.
just doesn't exist. I mean,
Well,
think right now.
they're finally listening to Margaret Thatcher. People who occupy the middle of the road get run over by both
Well,
sides.
the thing is, in America, only about now. I mean, you could have gotten away with being in the middle for the Bush years. Even the Obama years, you could get away with being middle of the road. Now it's. I mean, how many pundits or writers or journalists or whatever can you think of that are making calls for centrist opinions? Nobody's doing that.
No, no, you're right.
You
You're
know.
right. You're right.
So even though I disagree with centrists, I do think that they're a vital part of our democracy, and um, because, but the reason why they are, in my opinion, why the Democrats are embracing this radical view, is because they've invested so much in their idea of progress that something like Roe v. Wade being repealed would undo so much progress of what
Hmm.
they've done. And Lila Rose also independently corroborated Father Pavone's statements. I really feel bad if I'm mispronouncing his name.
Well, I'm sure he'll forgive you as
Yeah,
long as you're
yeah,
mentioning
he's a
it.
nice guy.
As long as you spelled it correctly in the article, I think you're
Hmm.
safe. You
Yeah,
should send him a copy of this podcast, however.
yeah, probably. In any event, I'm
Tell him,
very.
God love you, your father. God love you,
Yes.
father.
That a lot of people don't realize just how vital it is to be involved in your state legislature. If you're passionate and literally any issue, especially pro-life, you need to be extremely proactive. I would say your state legislature is way more important than national, because no one person really can control um, the national scene, political
If you
scene.
want real power, Board of Supervisors, County Board of Supervisors. That's where the real
Absolutely.
power is.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that,
Because
because
all the money from Washington has to go through them.
exactly. And but I mean, places like Massachusetts. In my article, I mentioned Massachusetts, Vermont, Rhode Island, New Mexico, and I think a couple other states are very close. Illinois, they all have bills that are just within a couple weeks of being passed. I mean, pretty much both the pro-life and the pro-choice groups agree it's only a matter of time before they have New York legislation like that. So,
So are the bills crafted on using similar dictionaries, diction and grammar, syntax, the things that you and I love to talk about? Are they boilerplated? Are they templated?
it's
Um,
basically copy and paste.
Yeah,
The
and the New York legislative
I was
initiative. That is the model. That's the overall model.
believe it or not, it's actually from Roe v. Wade, and a case that's not talked about, and I didn't really know about it until I did some research, is Bolton versus Doe, which is
Oh, I don't know that.
yeah, it I would say is just as important as Roe v. Wade, and it was decided on the
Sure.
very same day. Bolton versus Doe, effectively, the main thing they decided is the definition of health of the mother. And you see that clause in virtually every abortion legislation is that there shall be no abortion after 24 weeks unless it is of risk to the life or health of the mother. And
The word
how,
health now can include mental health.
well, Bolt
Like
actually,
I have a headache. I have
no,
a
no,
headache, or I don't like this guy anymore,
mm-mm,
or I was drunk,
it's even
or I
more
was stoned.
Bolton
Fake.
versus Bolton versus Doe effectively goes even further. It's more than just that. It's also familial or psychological pressures. I mean,
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
oh yeah, I mean it
What do you mean?
is.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? If my granddaughter objects to me having an abortion or wants me to have
No,
an
no, no, no,
abortion,
no, no, no. If you feel as though um, your creepy Uncle Tom may make it more difficult to raise a child, or if your brother may make fun of you
oh, that's
for
the whole argument that an unwanted child is not going to live a very productive life
yeah,
because
yeah.
we know exactly how that life is going to unfold. We're God. We know exactly how miserable that life is going to be.
I
Don't
would. So upon hearing this, I actually believe that. I mean, it really has to go together. Roe v. Wade, in my opinion, Roe v. Wade and Bolton versus Doe both have to
we?
be overturned if you're going to have a pro-life country. And uh, what effectively all these states are doing is they're bracing for impact. So when Roe v. Wade, it really, I mean, pretty much everyone is in agreement. It's
Mhm.
only a matter of time before Roe v. Wade gets the boot. It really is
Right.
only a matter of time.
Yep. Yep.
Once that happens, the it is up to the states. That's what the justices will do. It's
Exactly.
they're not
Take
even
it back to the state.
they're not saying that abortion is illegal. They're saying it's the state's job to figure that one out. And so places like Kentucky, Missouri, a couple other places, yeah, you won't be able to get an abortion there. But in California, New York, all the liberal places, yeah, you'll be able to get crazy amounts of abortions if you like. Sure.
Right.
And all be funded by the taxpayer or whatever.
One every hour.
Yeah. Yeah, you can have one every 9 months
Every
if you
hour.
like.
Oh, every hour.
So, all this really is people bracing for impact, and that's where the real long-term battle is. It's with the culture and with the states. It's not on the national level. The national level, but on the other hand, the national level does dictate and trickle down, if you will, to the states, and so does the culture.
Mhm.
And the culture with their crazy I don't know if you know this, but ultrasounds were not invented when Roe v. Wade was passed.
I didn't know that. I did
Yes.
not know that.
So
Oh,
now
wow.
people they can see ultrasounds
Because
of.
Matthew and Chrissy just had the ultrasound for their baby.
Oh, congratulations to
But
them.
they don't know. I mean, it's too early to determine the sex
Sure,
of the baby.
sure. But with the ultrasound, you can see the baby It looks like a human at second trimester, and before
It
you
doesn't
could
look like a giraffe, does it?
no. No, I mean, you could make the argument before you could see what's going on in the womb. Oh, it's a clump of cells, it's a blob of tissue, and you could get away with that. Now you look at that and go, it looks an awful lot like a human being.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
interesting you bring that because, I was talking to Chrissy about that, and she actually, when she told me that she was pregnant, she said, well, right now it's like a poppy seed. I said, really? She said, yeah. She said, yeah, it's the size of a poppy seed. And now I saw her, about 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later. And she said, now it's the size of an apricot seed. All right. So,
Wow.
yeah. And then they had their ultrasound. And we all started female. I mean, we all originate as female.
Interesting.
And then we eventually, for whatever reason, I don't even know what the genetic reason is, but for whatever reason, we make the change from male to female.
Mhm.
If we're going to make the change somewhere down the line, I don't know when that is. I think that's what the inventors of the
Human Genome Project, or
yeah, that well, no, the machine that does the testing.
oh, okay, the ultrasound.
Exactly. Thank you. The ultrasound.
All right.
Couldn't think of it for some reason.
Somebody fact check that old man for me, if you would.
See if he's still alive.
Well, it's even another step forward. This is something fairly new, is that you can do these scans on a pregnant woman's body, and you can actually make a 3D printing of the child.
Yeah.
And so there's beautiful videos of these two blind people being able to touch their baby, and I mean, because they see through touch, it's they almost, it's as close as they're going to get to seeing their baby, which to me is just the coolest thing.
Well, it's a good application of 3D printing.
Mm-hmm. So I mean,
Who would imagine that we'd be able to use 3D printing to look inside the womb and get a model of the baby.
It is. I mean, I love living now. It is terrific. I mean,
I agree.
But it also is kind of sad because so many doors and windows are opening into the womb. Mm-hmm. Just the whole argument isn't working out. I think, in my personal opinion, the only reason why the abortion motivation is so strong is because these are people that either had an abortion or were directly involved in abortion and are doing everything they can to tell themselves this was not a human being. Because if it was a human being, they know just how awful their choice was. Their choice was.
No, I agree. And thank you for the article. Thank you for writing. I hope you sent it to Seth Gruber. You have a vast audience now of people that are waiting for your publications.
That's right.
Send it to Seth Gruber, because I'm sure he'll want to see that and use it in his testimony. But thank you for writing, because I hadn't realized a number of issues that you brought out in the article. How many state legislatures are actually templating and photocopying the New York statute, and how it's driven by a fear that Roe v. Wade will eventually be reversed, and that the states will have to deal with the issue on a state-by-state basis, which is going to cause a great deal of social change. There's no question about that.
The shift is now changing from federal to statehood, where it should be.
Right.
Where it should be.
Now, what other articles are you working on, Mr. Star Journalist? Mr.
Oh, well, I can't divulge too much information.
Oh, I see.
I am working on another one that has to do with the abortion issue, but that's far down the line. Right. That's all I'm going to say on that. And I did get to go to a press conference with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi.
Oh.
Chuck and Nancy.
She had her ashes on today.
Yeah.
She is a robust abortionist, but she's a Catholic that gets her ashes. I think she should get her ashes kicked.
In any event, it was really cool. By the way, Chuck Schumer is much shorter in person. I didn't realize that. And Nancy Pelosi puts on way too much makeup. In any event, it was really cool to see these people not through a TV screen but in person. And the only thing I'll reveal about that is my article will be on net neutrality.
Oh, all right. So out there, stay tuned. And when Alex is publishing his articles, we're going to be doing a podcast on each of the articles.
Oh, we are?
Thank you so much for hitting. Yeah, we are. Thanks very much for hitting the subscribe button on each of the articles.
And sharing.
And share. Our theology one that I posted today, it's taking off like great guns. They love it when we disagree on something.
They're going to love the one we did on, well, I'm not going to tell.
Transgender?
Trans feelings, maybe?
Anyway, thanks very much, and keep going. Stay the course. Keep writing. We believe in you.
Guys, make sure to tweet out to me at Alex Madajian, or you can also check out my blog, which I'm going to drop this Saturday, by the way. You want to check that out. Also, follow me on Instagram and Facebook and all the above.
And remember, Alex Madajian of the Alex and Mark Show. He's your man in Washington, D.C. All right?
And that's your guy in Bumpkin,
Santa
California.
Bumpkin, Why?
Yeah.